Is it okay? Can I start? Yes? Okay, so let's do it. So hello, my name is Stéphanie Descroix, and as you can see, I'm working at Institut Curie, so you should know that you don't have to forget that it is the period for the jonquille, and then if you can help for the research and the hospital, it would be perfect. So before really discussing about tech transfer, I would like first to give you the context of the stories that I will tell you today. And just to give you a short flavor of what we do in our team. So we are a team both at Institut Curie and at IPGG. And we have different types of activity, and all are related to microfluidics, of course. And in the team, we are used to work with micro and nanotechnology for clinics, both with nanoparticles, but also regarding the bioanalysis. We are also working on bioengineering and organ on chip, again, working on all the microfabrication technology, but also a lot with magnetic particles. And all of these fields are completely fed by the technological development, and this is something that we like a lot in the team, and we think that it could be really a way to change the way we perform the first two activities. So just to let you know that our team has a long-standing story with tech transfer, and it's not due to myself, it's due mainly to Jean-Louis Viovy, who was the founder of this team. And I had a look on some database that for more than 20 years, there have been many patents in the team in a wide range of topics that could be for polymers, for biomolecules, separation, and I think that maybe Jeremy Weber, it should be some good reminder for him, but also a lot with droplet microfluidics and especially with cell encapsulation. And there has been a first story of startup funding with FluidGen company that is now here for more than 10 years. And I guess you have all heard about this company that is one of the major companies in the field of equipment for microfluidics. And then more recently, and in this I was involved, I was not involved in FluidGen, we have also started this company Inorevia, for which Amel will also say a few words in the second session. So just to let you know what is, sorry, I try something, no, okay. Je peux utiliser un ordinateur de son juste pour lancer la vidéo, tu peux la lancer? Yes. Okay, just to tell you a bit what is the core technology of Inorevia, and I think the most easiest way to show you is really to show just this movie, where you can see a droplet. Okay, maybe we will play it again. You can just see a droplet flowing in a tube. Basically, it's just a Teflon tube, and it is filled of magnetic particles, and if you switch off the magnetic field in this magnetic tweezer, you can extract the bits, and at will, you can also release them in any other droplet. So it's very, very simple. I mean, in terms of technology, I'm not sure you are totally impressed because it seems to be very simple. But finally, it's so simple that it's also very efficient. And you can imagine that this droplet can easily replace this tube. And then with these bits, you can replace also all the pipetting stuff that you do in your micro-titer plate or with your pipetting robot. So basically, with that, you can perform any step of any molecular bioassay that use a solid phase. And in the team, it's really fun because it happens sometimes that you have a good idea and it took like years before starting to see the first experiment that will work at the end. And this one, it was really simple and it was working in a few months, at least regarding all the physical part, it was quite easy to set up this system. And then we have moved to the application, and we have done two first applications with newborn diagnosis with these magnetic tweezers. And also we have developed another application regarding personalized diagnosis for breast cancer. And this, of course, it took more years, like a few years for each of them. And then we have patented this, I think, in 2012. I mean, I'm right, yes. Okay, and then more recently, we have performed other physical improvement, and we are working on all the physical aspects of these tweezers, and we have also developed other types of application. So, and at the end, a few years after, in 2016, Inorevia has been founded, and it's now a company with like 15 people in Cochin at Paris Biotech Santé, that is led by Julien, who is CEO, and Amel, who is COO. And I guess that maybe Amel will more elaborate on Inorevia in the second session. What was maybe the most important for me was more this part, that is maybe the more personal part on my side regarding the path to tech transfer. So first, I tried to, preparing this presentation, I tried to think, okay, what would I like to share? The question of success story for me, honestly, does not make sense so much because none of us are like a unicorn and tomorrow we'll have $1 billion in the pocket. So maybe, but maybe not, I don't know. So for me, it was more interesting to try to understand what was really the past and why and in which condition, and maybe also the last question was really also important, who and with whom. So the first question was really the where. So we started with microfluidics, and for me, microfluidics is really also not only a scientific field, but also a technological field. And that's why it's also quite fertile for all this question of tech transfer. Another important feature for us in this path is that we are used to do this tech transfer. So I mean that even in the team now, it's like natural that when you have a new concept or a new technology, you try to think first if you would like to protect it by a patent before directly publishing. Of course, we would like to publish, we are researchers, but still this is something that we keep in mind. Another really important point also is the environment in which we work. And we are in a very supportive and fertile environment, and I think we should realize that. Luckily, with Curie, we have all the help, as Cedric has shown, of the tech transfer. We have also the chance to evolve close to PSL Valo, to this incubator, and I think that especially here, we are used to live with people from startups. So we also, and especially for the young people, they consider that these guys are like them, and they could be, as you said, Lideric, they could be the next one. We have also, at the SPCI as well, a lot of examples of successful stories, or at least successful tech transfer. And something that has already evolved, as you said, Lideric, I think that 20 years ago, okay, it was not super sexy to do tech transfer. And now, I think the young people, they are less naive compared to what we were. And they still consider that working with companies or really moving to the entrepreneurship is something that could be interesting as well. Of course, it's not the only way to evolve after a PhD. I mean, being a researcher is also wonderful, but still this is something that you can consider. And regarding the motivation, because of course, when you have this beautiful scientific concept or inhibitor or whatever, you say, okay, what do I do? Do I go for publication? And that's super cool because this is my career and so on. Or do I consider the possibility to move to tech transfer? And I remember that once when we were in one of the incubators, one guy asked us, but what are your real motivation? Business and money could be one of them. That's true, huh? Okay, we are researchers, we know our level of salary, I think it could be part of the reality. But I think there are also other aspects. One of them, for me, is really like, yes, personal satisfaction. I mean, when you develop something like in the lab and you see that at the end it could be a product that people can use and you can solve a problem, yes, it's really rewarding. It's one of these. The other part is really also to create value for society. And I mean, there are different ways of doing that. Of course, maybe with your inhibitor, you will save life and it will be, wow, super cool. Another way to do that also is that at the end, I don't know what will be the future of Innovrevia. I hope it will be a super good one, but it could be also that not. But still, during this period, people have been progressing, people have been working with a job, and we have created value, I mean, human value as well. And finally, I would say also regarding the fact that you are a supervisor and sometimes it's your PhD or your postdoc that will go in the company, that's really interesting also to see them evolve. And at some point, you completely reverse the situation because they become the mentor and you go back to be the PhD student who don't know exactly what is the topic. This is also something that you, at least as a researcher who is not operational in the company, I mean, this is also something that you have to accept, that you know your limit. For example, I can tell you I'm not good at all in business. It's not my job. I don't know the rules. I don't know how to do that. So that's also super important to know what is your scope, what is your field of expertise, and where it stopped as well. And then you see that these young people, they gain in skills and become way better than what you are. This is also very interesting. And finally, the question of the past, and that is also very critical for me, is who or with whom. And as you can see, I'm not exactly like my colleagues. I mean, I'm the only female in this session. Maybe I'm a bit older, maybe not too much regarding you, but all of you, you are young. young PhD or postdoc. And I think that was not my choice to go in the company. My choice was to stay as a researcher and to build my team because it was my project and at this stage at least what I would like to do. And I think that's also really important to consider what are your tastes, what would you like to do, what are your objectives, to know what should be your place in the company. And that's good that at some point you find talented people who will be able to take up the challenge for this company and to make something that will be maybe stronger, even if you, the co-founder and the scientific people, you are not directly involved in the operational work in the company. Et voilà, and that's it for me, and thank you for your attention.
Thank you, Stéphanie. So, you want questions? Yes, from the audience. Or...
Des big audience professionnelle et une question par personne, sinon je vais te vexer.
I don't have a question, but a comment. So it's just to say that I think we are really fully agree on all what you say here about what makes you excited as a researcher to go there. But I like, this question of creating jobs, I think it's important for us, but I guess also for the young ones, because because they are creating their own job. So so instead of looking for a job, you fabricate your job and you decide what will be there and what not be there. And that's, I think it's really important. Yeah. And indeed also as a researcher, and I think that's what you basically say, you have to find your position there. And this is a difficult question. And I think as a researcher, we don't have to be too naive with respect to investors. And so we have to, I think it will be important to share. That's why I like seeing this today, because we have to share experiences between researchers. Because usually the investor, they are happy that researchers are completely naive people and they can transfer the knowledge to the startup without much money. And I think we shouldn't be that naive. So
that's why the people with whom you do that is important.
Yeah, exactly. I wanted to react on that.
Okay.
Super. Merci beaucoup. So